I think they get bonus votes if that happens. Yeah. Washington will cast their votes according to the green lights.
You guys hear me okay? Ready to start? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Nye. I'm here tonight to ask for your vote for RLC Chair. As I'm sure you know, the Liberty Movement has a tremendous opportunity in the wake of the failed presidential election on the part of the Republican Party. Again, we all know there's a dearth of leadership at the Republican Party. The party's basically imploding. The good news for us, of course, is that the Liberty message is more popular than ever. We've got some really great, superstar elected officials like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Justin Amash and Steve Stockton doing some really great things, and they really give our movement a lot of credibility. The bad news is that very much like the Republican Party, we as an organization have our own set of challenges. So some of the things that I've identified in my time on the board are, our basic organizational structure. We keep having this recurring debate about what kind of organization do we want the national organization to be. We've got some growing pains. I personally think we've got some very serious branding or image type problems. And of course, we've got the traditional bane of all nonprofit organizations, which is volunteer burnout. So before I get into some of my proposed solutions to those, I want to give you some background on me, who I am, and the skills that I bring to the table. I was raised in Ocala. My parents and grandparents are from there. Currently live in Melbourne, Florida, just a little bit south of the Space Center. Got more than 20 years experience in the technology sector, and I currently work for a company selling large voice over IP business phone systems. So that's my day job. On the side, I do web development, but I only do that for basically people I like, so nonprofit type folks, not normal commercial type stuff. So on the political front, we use the term in our neck of the woods, off the couch. So I've only been off the couch since 2007. Was never politically active before then. I founded my local region of the Republican Liberty Caucus in 2008. At the peak, when we were having the Tea Party movement coming out and all that, we were getting 90 to 100 people to our monthly RLC meetings. I organized the Tea Parties in my area in 2009, and the biggest event we did there, we actually got almost 4,000 people to the Space Coast Stadium on 4th of July day, on a Saturday. So I had a ton of people telling me, oh, you're crazy, it's a holiday, you're never going to get people. Almost 4,000 people showed up for that. So that's the biggest event that I've organized. I was appointed treasurer of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida in 2009 after the prior treasurer stepped down. I joined the national board as an alternate in 2009, elected chair of Florida in 2011, and I also ran for county commission in my district in 2010. And in spite of being outspent 9-1, I pulled 41% of the vote. And I actually had, I was running against an incumbent Rhino Republican, and basically had the best showing of any Liberty candidate that we ran, in the state of Florida in terms, short of actually winning, which would have been the ideal situation. So, last thing I want to touch on is other nonprofit experience. I was involved in a trade association in Florida called the Florida Association of Mortgage Brokers. I actually set up my own region, which got me a seat on the state board, and I served on their legislative affairs committee, and I'm also a member of my local Rotary Club. So let's talk about accomplishments. Since I've been on the board of the RLC, I'm sure you guys all know now, we've got a nationwide membership database. That's one of the things I campaigned on in 2011 at the convention in Arlington. We're also using QuickBooks now for financials. I actually had the financial report to show you on the overhead, but we decided not to do that for sake of time. And then I also lobbied for and organized our first online convention. So if you participated in that special online convention, that was quite an adventure. I think the overall production went pretty well. So we're going to hopefully be doing more of those to allow the grassroots to participate remotely without having to travel. So let's talk about some of those challenges I mentioned earlier and things we can do to address them. I basically broke them down into basic organization, the growing pains we're experiencing, branding and communications, and the volunteer burnout section. So this is the debate right here that seems to keep coming up, is what value does national bring? Are we basically a confederacy of states with a weak national organization? or are we an empire basically where the national is going to push from the top down? I personally say we should be a confederation of states. I say that because I'm state chair of Florida. I know very well, we know the state of Florida better than somebody from Washington is going to know the state of Florida, and the same holds true for the organizations. I personally believe national has two primary roles. That's to act as a spokesperson for national issues, right? To put out press releases, to build awareness of our brand, and generate leads to drive, we basically want to create membership opportunities for people in different states. And the second is to support unchartered states. So that's, we're going to fill in the blanks with templates and things like that for states that aren't chartered. In terms of organization, another thing I keep hearing is we don't, at the board level, we don't seem to have a coherent budget. We haven't really identified spending priorities. I will tell you that we had several budget meetings. Laura participated on one with me. Dave's been on one. But we never actually agenda'd the budget to vote on it for the board, right? So we did all the work, but we didn't actually vote on it at the board level. So if elected, that would be something that I would immediately move to do, is implement a budget so everybody can see where the money's going. I'd also like to finish, we've got the membership database in place. It hasn't turned out exactly as planned because part of the advantage of City CRM, the membership database, is supposed to be that you can integrate it with your website, so you can pull the data, the membership data, you can do database dips, you can see, who's registered for convention, what members are in my area, et cetera, et cetera. We're basically running two separate platforms. The City CRM is in one system, the national website is in another. So I'd like to see those merged. That was the initial goal of the project. I would make it a point to schedule our national board meetings well in advance so we have a schedule that everybody knows when the board meetings are going to happen. And I'd also like to see that the committees are actively meeting, kind of keep your finger on the pulse of the committee, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and they can submit their reports to the board. In terms of growing pains, one of the things I've noticed is a lot of people don't understand how we're set up in regards to regions. They don't understand our regional director's structure or strategy. That's going to become even more important now that we just added 4 more regions, right? I think we can improve, create some new templates and improve the ones we've got for unchartered states. I know there was some database training done here. I think we can do that online, via group webinar type things, and then record those for new people coming in so we don't have to do live training, say, hey, go here and watch this, here's how you add a member, here's how you reconcile your dues. This is a biggie for me because I've personally been a small business owner for 20 years, and one of the biggest complaints I hear is that our brand image for the RLC is inconsistent depending on where you go. So if you go to the website, the logo and the look and feel is one thing. If you go to Facebook, it's something else. We have got to standardize, national I'm talking about, states can do whatever they want, but national has got to standardize on a single logo that is uniform across all of the different electronic mediums, same one in the emails we send, same one on the website, same one on Facebook, and we have got to update our website and give it that new logo and a modern design. That is the single biggest complaint I've heard from everybody, is that our outward-facing website is very antiquated and it doesn't appeal by today's standards. The other thing, this has come up on board calls, is actually use PR services like PR Web and PR Underground to get our releases out on issues. Talk about volunteer burnout success. You can tell I was a little vocal earlier about volunteer work. We're all here doing this for free. Okay, nobody here is getting paid, and we need to make it real. We need to remember that when you're criticizing people or asking, what's taking so long. The only reason people are here are because, like Jack Hunter said earlier, basically they're either here because they believe they're making a difference or they've got a really big ego. So, we need to create basically some friendly competition, if you will, recognize the people that are doing the right things, recognize the states that are doing the right things. I think coming into a convention like this, I would have liked to have seen basically a score. You basically got kind of a scorecard with the delegate counts, right? Seeing who was the biggest. But I would like to see an actual, hey, here's the report card of all the states, right? Here's, Washington has 250 or 300 members. Their growth this year over last year was X percentage. And we should be, applauding that and recognizing them at our dinner. That's a big deal to sign up that many people in such a short period of time. So I think we really need to work hard to recognize people. The other thing that I've noticed from a volunteer burnout perspective, and I know I've done it personally, is you got to let the committees do their work and stay out of the way. If you micromanage the committees, people just throw their hands up and say, well, what do we need? What do you need me for? You're going to do it yourself anyway. And the last thing, I talked to somebody earlier, is wouldn't it be cool to have an awards committee where we could have people focus just on that one area to make sure that we're adequately recognizing our people. Another thing I'd like to see at the convention level is a single breakout session with all the state chairs, okay? So everybody that's a state chair would show up and do their best practices, basically. Give a report, here's what we're doing that works, here's what we're doing that's not. And then, of course, recognizing our large donors. If they wanted to be recognized, we could do that with the database on the website, things like that. So anyway, in 2013 and beyond, we've got an opportunity to take it to the next level, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.